Greetings everyone, Kadzar here, and welcome to my Backlog, a series where I review a game from my backlog. Today we'll be looking at Mr Shifty, developed by Team Shifty and published by Tinybuild. One of the very first things that anyone who's been paying attention to the games industry will notice that this game is strikingly similar to the Hotline Miami series of games, which makes it really hard not to compare it to those games. So let's see if this game rides the coattails of Dennaton Games' masterpieces, or does it do enough to differentiate itself from them? First of all, let's discuss the presentation. This is point one in Mr. Shifty's favor. While Hotline Miami is an LSD-laden gorefest, Mr. Shifty opts for a more comic book style with bright, vibrant colors, cartoony punch effects, and the overall design of the environments that are reminiscent of an evil lair of a Dr. Evil-esque villain. The presentation of the game also contributes to another great aspect of the game, situational awareness. Situational awareness in a game like this is incredibly important, and here it's achieved by having all the enemies be color-coded by their choice of arsenal. Purple dudes have shotguns, orange dudes have machine guns, etc. Also, some of the enemies are different sizes, which indicates that they take more than 2 punches to take out. Another important bit to this puzzle is the very distinct sound which plays before the bad guys shoot their weapons, which really makes the ears your third eye in this game. As far as audio is concerned, the best way to describe it would be satisfying. Bone-crunching, punching sounds, the sounds of general chaos with the walls, sticks, and statues crumbling, the incredibly clear sounds of spent bullet casings hitting the floor are all very satisfying. The music is also something I generally enjoyed, but I can see it becoming monotonous since there aren't that many tracks, and some players just might not enjoy the style. So overall, the style this game employs is very different to that of Hotline Miami, and I can really appreciate that. Of course, style is nothing if the gameplay is bad, so let's talk about the gameplay since that really is the key component here. While on the first glance you might make the claim that the gameplay here is similar to Hotline Miami, it really isn't the case. Hotline Miami relies more on planning to solve its levels, but Mr. Shifty is more focused on being a skill check. Firstly, let's discuss your basic mode of play. Mr. Shifty relies on 2 key moves, teleportation and attacking, which is what you'll be doing for the most of the game. This might seem dull at first, but the game quickly opens up and allows for you to fully explore the depths of this system. The way that the teleportation works is pretty simple. You have 5 charges of it that you can use in rapid succession, and while the teleportation range is short, the 5 charges give you a lot of options. Plus, if you don't spend them all in one go, they recharge very quickly. But if you do spend them all, you will have to waste precious seconds waiting for it to recharge. Despite being rather simple on the execution side, the system is outrageously fun to play around with. The attack of the character is really simple as well. You just hit the button. But the variety of the combat is enhanced by the various melee and throwable weapons you will find throughout the game. Things like sticks, brooms, statue heads, keyboards, swords and shields of said statues, coffee mugs, bags of what looks like cocaine, stacks of cash, and other miscellaneous objects. Adding these 2 systems together and the one-hit death mechanic makes the game an exhilarating skill challenge that makes you feel like Nightcrawler from X-Men, which honestly explains the comic book style of this game. The solid gameplay mechanics combined with great sounds, fluid animations, and slow-motion mechanic makes the game an audio-visual treat that's also great fun to play. Another thing to consider is that the game also has quite a few puzzles. Now you could say that the entirety of the game is a puzzle and taking out all the enemies has a puzzle element to it, but here I'm talking about actual puzzles like dodging lasers, rocket turrets, figuring out how to advance through a blocked path, or dealing with areas where your teleportation powers are suppressed. These puzzles really throw in a lot of variety into the game that I really appreciated. The variety in the combat is also there, since almost every stage will introduce some new hazard or enemy type for you to contend with, so the game doesn't ever become stale. Another thing to mention is the game's story. It's really not important, and it's just there to give you some context and some chuckle-worthy lines from time to time. It's just a basic infiltrate evil lair, thwart evil plan plot that no one is going to remember, but since it's clearly not the focus, I really don't mind. However, while the game is certainly a lot of fun, it's not all sunshine and rainbows here. The game does have some difficulty spikes that, while frustrating, don't feel unfair, but I can totally see people being annoyed by them. Also, the game is really short, which might be a problem for people since the asking price for this title is $15, or whatever your regional equivalent is. Personally, I beat the game in about 3.5 hours, and by the end I wanted more, which could have been solved with the inclusion of a level editor or something like that. But as it is, it might be a difficult purchase for some people to justify. Overall, this is a really solid game. The style and the gameplay mechanics really come together incredibly well, and while the game is really short, it's totally worth a purchase, at least on sale. And finally, to answer the question posed at the beginning of this review, yes, the game is quite a departure from Hotline Miami, and it's a fantastic experience in its own right. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future. Later!